right.
Mm-hmm. Is it off?
Yeah, I shut it off so it won't ring. I want to be able to see it.
Oh.
People.
We're on, ladies.
Good evening. Happy New Year. And welcome to the Doris Hall James Indie Show. We've been away for about 5-6 weeks, enjoying our Christmas holidays. Our holiday season is over now and we're back to work. So once again, welcome, and we hope you had a very happy and safe New Year. Now, this evening, I have a very, very special guest I've been advertising for the past 3-4 weeks, and that's Rena Sinakin. Right, Rena? I got it right?
Yes, you did.
And the spotlight is on you tonight. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I welcome you to the Indie Show.
Thank you, Doris. It's so nice to be here.
And I've been trying to get this young lady for a long time. My friend T Life has been telling me, you've got to get Rena on your show. How did you meet T Life?
That's a good story. I was bringing John Lennon's band down to Philadelphia, down to Gamble and Huff to meet with Huff and Gamble, and Huff said to me, well, but I don't know anything about rock and roll. And so he said he was going to bring in T Life because T Life knew all about rock and roll.
Yeah. Okay.
And so he brought in T Life, and that's how I met T Life.
Okay.
And we've been friends ever since.
And he's a fan of yours because he's saying, this is who you need to get. This is who you need to get. So he's really a fan. And I talked to him yesterday. It was yesterday. And he said, she's coming, right? I said, she's coming. So Rena, tell me, as I look over all of your bio and all, I looked you up on the internet, and boy, I said, well, who is this lady? Hit Lady, right? Where'd you get that name from?
Hit Lady?
Yeah.
Well, as you probably know, I did a lot of work with McFadden Whitehead. I produced an album on them for Capitol and knew them for quite some time before that. And they gave me the name Hit Lady. And then I kind of let that go to sleep for a while. And then my chief engineer, Faux Notes, said, let's revive that. Let's revive that.
Sitting over there. Okay. We have Faux in the studio with us tonight, right?
Yes,
okay. And so you kept that name, and you have a studio called
Hit Lady Studios.
Okay. And what are you doing in the studio now? What's some of the things you're doing?
Oh, I don't know where to begin.
Well, before you begin that, let's talk about some of the past. So let's go about, how did all of this begin? The music career, the artist, how did all of it begin?
Well, that's a real interesting story. I was in New York, and I was working at a portrait studio in New York, painting portraits.
Okay.
Because I'm also a visual artist. And the owners of the portrait studio really liked me, and they wanted to go away to Mexico for the winter.
Okay.
And they asked me if I would manage a studio, and that all I had to do was open up in the morning, pay the artist, pay myself, put the rest of the money in the bank, and close up at night. And the best part was that I could live for free in Manhattan downstairs.
Okay.
Well, that was great. And I said, okay. Then they went to Mexico. And about a couple weeks after they left, it snowed like 3 feet.
Wow.
And anybody who had an appointment canceled.
Okay.
And nobody was making any new appointments. That just wasn't going to happen. And so, I didn't have much to do. And I found this little guitar in the boiler room, actually. And it was a snap away from a toy. It was a joke. But I taught myself how to play it. And while there was nothing to do, I made up songs. And then I ran out of money. There was no money. There was no money to pay an artist. There was no money to pay me. There was no money at all.
And they were still in Mexico.
And they were in Mexico. And, a couple of weeks later, it snowed another 2 feet. And so it was terrible. And there was a coffee house. The studio was on Bleecker Street, and there was a coffee house around the corner on McDougal Street. And so I took this little ridiculous guitar and no case, just carried it around to the coffee house on what they would then call hootenanny night. Now they call it open mic night.
Okay.
And I asked them, could I please play? Because it was my intention I could pass the hat, maybe make enough money to eat. And they made me wait until 2 o'clock in the morning because they didn't know if I was any good. But I stuck it out, and they liked me, and they said, oh, come back. I said, well, I can't stay up this late. And they promised me if I came back that I could go on anywhere between 7:30 and 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And so I said, okay, I would do that. So I came back, and I passed the hat, and I made enough money to go around to Nobody's, this little place on Bleecker Street. It was a place called Nobody's.
Right.
And buy a hamburger and drink some water.
Okay.
And so that was my first start, and I kept coming back because I had to eat and pass the hat, and people started coming to see me.
Okay.
And then one day, my friend Karen Zebulon and Danielle Ben Zebulon, who was a musician also, Karen was an artist, invited me to their house for dinner. So I didn't have to go to pass the hat because I could eat at their house.
Okay.
So I didn't go that night. Well, the next night I go back, and the guy who owned the joint said to me, where were you last night? Kind of upset with me. I said, well, I was invited out to dinner, so I didn't have to come. He said, what do you mean you didn't have to come?
Yeah.
I said, well, I come so I can pass the hat and make enough money to eat around the corner. And he said, really? I said, yeah, really. He said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll pay you to come. And so that was my first
that was a
job.
blessing.
Yeah. So when I think about, well, who gave me my first break? God. He made it
God
snow. He made it snow.
I think God gives us our first break. He opens up the doors for us in order for us to be successful, right?
Right, and even out of negativity comes something positive because there's a greater plan than what we might have. We make plans and God laughs and said, oh yeah, that's what you think.
But then, now were you, I can't remember, when did you come to Philadelphia?
Well, I was born in Florida, and when I was very little, about 3 years old, I moved to Philadelphia, and I was brought up in Philadelphia, and I graduated from Philadelphia Public Schools and got a scholarship from the Board of Education for Fine Art, and started studying at the Pennsylvania Academy of the Fine Arts. But I really wasn't learning anything there, and I had some opportunity to work in a portrait studio in New York, so I went to New York. And I was 19 years old,
Okay.
and my mother was very worried about it, but that's what I did. And then I stayed in New York, and then I moved to Woodstock, where there was a whole lot going on back then. It was before the Woodstock Festival, and attended the Woodstock Festival, and but in a different way than most people did. I flew in on a helicopter, but I came back to Philadelphia after Harry Coombs, who is still a friend of mine, great friend of mine, introduced me to Gamble and Huff in New York. And then Huff invited me to come down to Philadelphia, and I fell in love with him and the whole school that he had, is how I'll put it. It was really kind of like a family, and it was something very different than what I was used to. This genre of music really appealed to me because I guess that, I just had that Philly rhythm in me. It was something I was brought up with.
Yes.
And so actually, Huff and Bruce Hawes and a few others actually moved me down here, lifted heavy furniture.
Did they really?
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, and I just wound up staying, really enjoying the people here. By that time that I moved down, I had already had recording contracts with Capitol Records, and I recorded an album for Capitol, but I did that beforehand,
Right.
and Then when I came down here, Huff wanted to do some work with me, and I, by that time, had been signed to Atlantic Records by Ahmet Erdogan, who was just such a great, great man in the industry. And Huff became the musical director on the tracks, and I had the opportunity to work with all these guys that I've been kind of hanging out with, you know, Norman Harris, Earl Young, Ronnie Baker, and Roland Chambers, and Bobby Eli, and it was great. It was great fun, and Vinnie Barrett, a great songwriter. We're still good friends to this day, and she's great. She's really a terrific songwriter, and so that's how I wound up back in Philadelphia.
Well, that's really great, and you've been doing this for a long time. And I looked at your bio. You did things for Gladys. You produced one of Gladys Knight's albums.
I did work with Gladys Knight. I had from the Coffee House days. There was a guy named Sid Bernstein. Now Sid was the guy that brought the Beatles to America, and Sid was a big fan of mine.
Yeah.
And so he told me that Gladys was looking for producers, and that he had a friend who was Gladys's business manager. He was her accountant, and that he would take me to go meet him, and he did. And he wound up telling Gladys about me, and I met with Gladys, and she wanted me to do it. But then I had to pass the okay from Clive Davis and Art Cass, and at that time there were no women, none, in the music biz, unless they were answering phones or a few singing, you know. But no women were producing major acts. That it was a man's game. But I was blessed to be able to have that. Yeah, I guess. And I got that opportunity. I was very, very blessed to have worked with her. She's fabulous. She's just a fabulous
Shout
singer.
out to Gladys Knight.
Yep,
right?
Gladys Knight is one of the best, and still one of the best.
One of the best.
And to have had that opportunity to work with legends like her, you know, before that, I had also worked with John Lennon's band, and then here in Philly after that, and Richie Havens in New York too. I did so much work with him before and after I came here, and you know, I brought Richie down to Philly also, and legendary singers, legendary performers, and that's a blessing, you know, that I had that opportunity to work with them and to be creative with them. And
yes, and you did something for McFadden and Whitehead.
Yeah, I
right?
produced an album on McFadden and Whitehead for Capitol Records, actually. And I love those guys. They were they were great fun to work with, and I had known them for quite some time already. Like I said, you know, when Huff brought me down, they were some of the first people I met, and loved being in the writing room with them, and you know, they were great, and we worked hard. Don't misunderstand. All of this was hard work. All of it is hard work, but the reward that you get, the satisfaction from working with somebody great who can bring it to life, I mean, that's priceless. Priceless.
So how do you feel about like all the things you've done, and you know everyone, everybody, and you've done so many things. Now you're in a stage now where you're still traveling through your musical journey. You're still adding on. Okay.
I've worked with so many people since then too. Even just this year, I released an album on Terry James.
Oh yeah, I heard some
called
of his
Platinum
material.
Heart,
Yeah,
and it's, you know, on all the you can find it anywhere, and YouTube. I have it up on my YouTube channel. I just started the YouTube channel, and I'm adding more stuff to it every day. And also, I did a video on Mario Havens and Dash Davis. They collectively go by the name Sayin. Saiyin. And Mario Havens is actually the grandson of Richie Havens, who I did so
Okay.
much work with.
Okay.
And I'm proud of the video, and I'm getting ready to release a song that I wrote with them called Louder Than Word.
Louder than word.
I came up with
Okay.
the idea, louder than word. Now, what's louder than word? A lot.
And you did something with a young lady, Basca.
Ange Boca.
Yeah, A-N-G, Ange.
Boca.
Ange
Boca.
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 Ange
Boca.
Boca. She is a great
She is
talent.
fabulous.
Isn't she? She is just so
she
great.
is fabulous, isn't she?
She is so great. I love her, and she's playing around town. She's doing live performances, and if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see a couple things up there from her, and hopefully you'll hear it on PhillyLiveRadio.com.
You're
too.
going to hear.
Definitely.
We have it already plugged in, guys. It's coming on. Yeah.
And hopefully you'll have something from Terry James. I know you've
Terry
started with Terry
James,
James also,
Mhm.
and I'm really happy about that. And I'll also make sure that you get Louder Than Word,
Okay.
which is coming up
Okay.
to be released. And I also produced Rosa Tatuata this year, which is a Sicilian folk band. And they sing in Sicilian, and they're working all over the world. And it's great world music. I think they could win a Grammy for world music. They're incredible. And I did that with Faux Notes and myself and Rosa Tatuata. She's just great. I love her, and I've done so much. It's hard for me to
Yes,
think
yes,
about
yes.
it all. But I guess that's this past year, and right before that, I also did a jazz band that I co-produced with Doug Grigsby called Aya, and that's kind of smooth jazz and original material that they wrote, and they're actually the house band for NAMM events at the Wyndham, which that's another story.
Well, let me just say hi to your fans here,
Oh,
okay?
okay.
And you can join in. You can do it if you choose to.
Okay.
Come on, let's go.
Okay, you
let's
tell me
start
who.
Okay.
Where do
we
I
go
start?
Right here.
Sandy Sykes
She said
said
hello.
hello to you.
Okay.
And Carlos really, he has a radio show on Philly liveradio.com,
Yeah.
and everybody should watch
Okay.
and listen. And Bert Blackrack, now he is amazing. He's doing things all over the world now. Go to his Facebook page. Go to Bert Blackrack. He's also the son of William B. Smith. We called him
Okay.
Smitty.
Okay.
Smitty and David Palmer, who used to be the lead singer for Steely Dan, they wrote a song that I cut on Gladys Knight too. And this is the son, and he is brilliant in his own right and is doing things all over the world now. Please go check out Bert Blackrack on Facebook, and then T Life, Theodore T Life. Hey T, I love T. He's been a longtime friend. As I said before, I met him when I brought John Lennon's band down to Philly, and we've been good friends ever since. And now, go on. You can Eddie Holman, another. I mean, there's so many people that are joining in the show. That's great to know. Hello, everybody. And Sandra Coleman, she just sent me a band that she wants me to listen to.
Yes.
And go ahead, scroll up.
That's
and I'll see.
Roz Wilson.
I don't know Roz.
But hello, Roz.
Hello, anyway.
Okay.
I'd like to get to know you.
Harfez, hello. And he says hello to you. Rena.
Hi, Harfez.
Okay.
And Giovanni, yep, I just, he'll be playing at a venue that I'm working with right now with Radio. Radio was a
Radio,
group that was
yeah.
started by Ray Parker Jr. Rainier Martin, she's just so great. She does a Donna Summers
Yeah.
show, and she is
Okay.
fantastic. You should have her on the show.
Yeah, I'm gonna
she's
write
great.
that.
She's really great. And Rhonda McDowell Brisbane, she is a good friend and a great singer. This girl she can do Chaka like nobody, and plus she can sing anything and make it sound good.
Rhonda McDowell.
Yep, and I am looking forward to doing a few things with her in the very near future. I just sent her a song, actually today, that we played for her last week.
Okay.
And Butch Blade Ingram. Now, Butch Ingram is one of the Ingrams from Camden, brother to Barbara Ingram, who I knew so well, and all of the Ingrams, so talented, just such a talented family, and love him dearly. Roger Meltzer. Roger was one of the few people who I got an outside song from on the McFadden and Whitehead record. Now, they were great writers, McFadden and Whitehead, but Roger wrote a great song, and they wanted to cut it too. I showed it to them. They said, let's cut it. And so we did, and it made the cut too.
Okay.
Hey, Roger, how you doing? I hope everything's good in your neck of the woods. John Beto Zubak. Beto was the drummer
Drumming buddy.
for Soul Survivors.
Oh,
The
really?
first
Soul
hit that
Survivors.
Gamble and Huff had.
Yeah.
They and I know Beto because he used to go many years ago when we were kids with a girl who lived down the street from me when we were kids. But Beto's a great drummer, and I remember being with him in the studio, and hey Beto, hope everything is great, and he's doing some great things out in Los Angeles now. And Jackie Love Zarka. That's the daughter of Jerry Love. Jerry Love made my first demo. He was the vice president of A&M Records at the time, and one of the sweetest, kindest men.
Oh,
I had
wow.
done a portrait of him, and I brought it into the office, and it just so happened that day that everybody from A&M Records was in town in New York. Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss, and so he said, boy, it looks like I'm ready to speak to myself. I have to show this to everybody. And so they came in, and so I said, at that moment, I seized the opportunity, and I said, well, I'd give this all up if I had a shot with my music. And they looked at me like, what? You do music too? And Jerry said, if you're half as talented at that as you are at this, I'll give you a shot.
Yeah.
He took me in the studio and put me in the studio and recorded my first demo. And
what was the name of that first demo? Do you know?
For Those.
For Those.
And which would be very appropriate now for those who are fighting in all wars.
Did you write that too?
Yeah, I did. I wrote the music. I wrote the lyrics. I played on it. I sang it. I put it together in the studio. Yep. And yep, God bless Jerry Love. He since passed away, but he will always have a special place in my heart. And then there's Charlie Rutan. Now, Charlie plays the bagpipes and all different wind instruments, and he plays with that Rosa Tatuata that I mentioned. He is just, what a great musician. He's got just the soul of a pure musician. And much love to Charlie. Thank you, Charlie, for tuning in. And Nancy Manning. Now that's more of a story there, because Nancy Manning started NAM Events LLC, and has
NAM Events.
Yep.
NAM Events.
NAM NAM Events LLC, and they've been putting on shows on Saturday nights at the Wyndham Hotel, Mount Laurel. And recently, they asked me if I would be the president of NAM Events.
No.
Yes.
Congratulations. What did you say?
You really want me to tell you what I said? I said, well, right now, I'd like to do that. I can't promise that I would commit to forever, because you just never know how life is.
Yeah.
But that I'll do everything that I can now to make this successful. And right now, they're doing
So
Saturday
when
nights
do you
now.
begin?
Well, I've already kind of started, but in earnest, March 1st, because right now it's the Wyndham. But starting March 1st, Clarion Suites is taking over. And so along with that big push that the Clarion will be doing to promote it, I'll also be taking advantage of that promotional push and trying to expand what's been happening. Right now, they've been doing Saturday nights only. I'd like to try to do 4 days a week. Thursday, I'd like to do comedy and hip hop and rock and roll. And then Friday, well, actually, comedies, no, on Thursday, I want to do hip hop, rock and roll, indie, different
Okay.
alternative things. And then on Friday, I'd like to do comedy and music,
Yeah.
whatever my choice is there. I manage an incredible comedian named Tommy Too Smooth, and he's been on BET, and he's amazing. But Saturday nights right now, it's booked past the summer, so we'll honor those commitments, and then we'll do more. And then on Sundays, we'll have 2 shows, kind of like brunch shows, one at 11 and one at 2 seatings.
Entertainment.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'd like to do.
Okay.
I'd like to do smooth jazz or something that people will enjoy.
Yes.
That they'll enjoy
Yes.
listening to while they eat.
Yes.
And so those are my plans, and I hope that it goes really, really well. Nancy Manning is an amazing woman that we immediately had an instantaneous connection, kind of like a sisterhood.
Yeah.
That when she told me that she believed in girl power, she had me. She had me, and she works really hard, just like I do, and just like you do.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I have great respect for any woman that works hard, because it's a man's world, as James Brown once said. And for a woman to
It's hard. It's
to
hard.
make it, you've got to do great.
You gotta do great, and
You
you gotta
gotta
work
work
hard.
You
You gotta
do.
work hard.
Yeah, you do.
No.
Yeah.
Well, more power to you, and I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that
Oh,
you're
I
doing.
see.
And you
Michaela
skipped some, but
Mussolino
you got
came in. Winston Gay, hello.
Yeah, Winston.
Michaela Mussolino. She
Winston
is
Gay.
the lead singer for Rosa Tatuata. And Carlos Rayleigh.
Rena, we had some great eyes currently, and the music production is great. I saw to the technician Pooh who's sitting on the couch.
Thank you, Carlos, for your kind words.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you. He's Taffy Spencer. She's a great singer. She is a phenomenal singer, Taffy. I would love to have the opportunity to work with her someday. And Wanda McDowell Brisbane, I love you too. And Nancy Manning, I think we've been
Nancy,
through that. Yeah.
Great, Emily. Thanks for being a part of the NAM Events LLC family.
Oh,
Think
thanks
of
for the
Bert.
opportunity. Bert Blackett, the Gladys
Story.
record was historic. Wasn't that the first woman to produce a major label
Yes,
artist?
yes,
I think so.
Daryl.
And
Daryl,
Hit Lady, I
yeah,
don't
Joy.
know. I don't think I
I
know.
love
But
you,
hello,
Hit
Daryl.
Lady.
Anyway, I hope that I'll get to know you. Mel
Mel.
Alston. He's also a really good singer, a young singer. He's so sweet. Thank you for saying such kind things. He's really very, very talented.
Nancy.
And and Serene
You go,
Salinas.
girl.
Serene Salinas is from Cuba, and she's talking to us right now about possibly doing something with her and her husband, who's from Argentina, and we're real interested. I'm meeting with her next week, actually, and Terry James. Yes, he was on. Yes, it
he
has
has
been
a
an
great
amazing
song.
journey with
It's a-
him. He's got a great
I can't
album.
remember of the
And
the
I have to
single.
tell you something. That first album, I wrote it, but now he's writing himself. He learned so much while under my
Working with
wing,
you.
and I'm so glad that I could give him the knowledge that I gave him and bring him along like I did. But now he's doing his own writing, and I wish him every success in the world.
Good luck to you, Terry.
Yes, best of
Yeah,
everything in
yes,
life
yes.
to come your way.
It's
And
one song, Rena. Help me remember it. I don't have it on here. That he's-
Heartbeat,
No.
All for You.
Yes.
Isn't that nice?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, I
That's
wrote
a
that one
good
too. And,
song,
and,
Terry. A
right
good
where
song.
I am, right
It's
where
a
I
good song. All
am.
for
I
You
know
is
you're already
good.
playing that one.
Yeah, we're playing, and we'll give them all that information.
And
Go check out Plan Her available on all digital
yeah,
platforms.
yep, the album that I cut on Terry James is called Platinum Heart. You know, he always said that I had a heart of gold, so he wanted the album to be named Platinum Heart. since I wrote the songs, and thank you for a great album. It was great working with him. And
Sandy?
Stan Brisbane, oh, that's great. Now Stan is, he's great, and he's a beautiful human being and a talented musician. And right now, I'm putting under contract a group that you're probably familiar with, called Everyday People, which is a Sly tribute band, and Stan plays Sly, and along with Stan playing Rose is Karen Domino, who's actually Fats Domino's daughter.
Yeah.
But Stan Brisbane
Has such a
is,
great
and I knew
personality.
I knew Sly. There's nobody better to play Sly than Stan Brisbane. He does. It's such an entertaining show. It's just great. Anybody that has the
Yeah, I
opportunity
saw them.
to
I
see
saw
that.
them at Crab Tavern one night.
Okay.
They were
Okay.
great.
Yeah. And I loved working with you too, Michaela. Different people. Nancy, and yes. Roger tells me to, you keep on keeping on too, Roger.
I know he does.
He
I
says
know
he
he
likes
does.
it when I talk about him. T, I love talking
Yeah,
about
I
you
know.
too. You're one of my favorite people on the planet, and you know that.
And it's Taffy Spencer.
Taffy Spencer, she's, like I said before, she's a great singer. She is really a good singer and a beautiful person. She's done things with Coda, I met her from Steve Wise, who I've done an awful lot of work with, and I also represent him too. He has a great wedding band. Steve Wise at one time was produced by Stevie Wonder, and he's amazing, and a great singer, great songwriter, and all around beautiful human being.
Okay.
And great friend. I'm so happy that I've had the opportunity to work with him. In fact, on Louder Than Word, he came in from Jamaica to put the sax on it.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he's great.
Hi, Rosa Richardson joined.
Hi, Rose. I hope I'll get a chance to meet you sometime.
You will. Okay, Bert.
Bert Blackrack, yep. Check him out, everybody. Connie Ashby. Hey, Connie. How you doing? Keep going now. T-Life. Hey, y'all. And
Say hello to a great talented friend. Oh.
Butch Blade Ingram and all of his brothers are chiming in. And all my love to all of you. Hey, Nancy, I see you here. Mel.
And just a dream. Just keep on.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
And more than
Thank
just a
you.
dream,
Yeah, FaceTime is a song on Terry James, and More Than Just a Dream is a song on Terry James, and he says it gets no love. Are you kidding me? I cut a whole album on you now. If that ain't love, what is?
Terry James, I guess no, you're getting a lot of love, Terry. And then you have, thanks, T. Thank you. He said this is a great interview, Doris. I'm loving this. Thank you.
Patricia Wardlaw, I haven't met her, but I've heard
Yes.
about her from Carlos.
Yes.
And I look forward to meeting you at some time in the near future.
She's awesome. She's awesome. Great
Yeah,
singer.
that's what I hear.
Okay.
And Walt Reeder, I don't
Hi,
know
Walt.
you yet,
Okay.
but hopefully I'll get a chance to meet you. And Terry James, thanks. Mel Alston.
That's Miller. Spuddy.
Yeah, Spuddy.
Yeah, that's okay. And Roger Meltzer has some
He has some great reggae music. I got some great reggae music for you. Roger
That's Buddy.
owns a reggae record company and has a reggae radio station. And Roger has done all kinds of things. As I mentioned, I had used a song of his with McFadden and Whitehead, but Roger's good people. Hey, Roger.
Okay, let's go to Tattany Bascots.
I don't know who Tatan Bestoche is, but I'm happy that you're here with us.
And thanks for joining in.
Jose Claudio Haig.
Okay.
Jose is a drummer, and he was with the band Aya, which, as I might have mentioned, is the house band for NAMM events. And as I said, I co-produced an album, I don't know if we did an album or an EP, several songs on Aya. their CD, and it was a pleasure working with you, Jose. He's one of the finest people.
Okay.
And
Hi, Stephen Lancaster. Thank you for joining in to the Indie Show. And Nancy Manning.
yep.
Okay. And then you have Dana Tapp. Thank you, Dana. Okay. And Vanessa Harper Simpson. Thank you, Vanessa. Love you. And Egypt Marie. Thank you again, Egypt Marie, for all your support. And Stephen, thank you. Glad to be listening in. Roger Melsa. I got my masters back doing reggae remixes of our 80s hits with Garfield Fleming.
Archie Bell and David Morris, Sal Anthony and Jeremy Mingori. It's Jerry Mingori, I think it is, but it's a typo there. Also put out a song with Steve Wise. Steve Wise, the one I mentioned before.
I got
who I
Jimmy
represent.
Williams.
Jimmy!
Yeah.
Yay! I love Jimmy. He's such
Hello,
a
Jimmy, too.
wonderful,
He's a nice
wonderful
guy.
bass player. Played with the OJs for so many years, just recently retired from that after 30 years. And we've done things in the past together, and I still look forward, hopefully, to
some
doing things with
yeah.
you again, Jimmy.
Okay,
I
Jimmy,
love you
you
dearly.
heard that. Okay.
Yeah.
Steve Bernstein.
Steve Bernstein.
Hi,
Hey,
Steve.
Steve. So nice of you to join
Okay.
in. Yeah, I remembered Steve from WMOT Records.
Yes.
And so many of the great artists, and Steve Bernstein and Alan Rubens. I hope everything is good down there in sunny Florida while we're in the cold up here. And thanks for tuning in, Steve.
Okay. And we got Roger Viola.
Hey, Doris.
It's my next
Can I jump in
name.
here for a second?
Yeah.
I want to ask you something.
Sure.
Look at the screen and tell me about that picture.
Oh, that's
Oh,
me
okay.
when, back in the day with McFadden and Whitehead when I was cutting them. That's a picture of me in the center. On the left is Gene McFadden, and on the right is John Whitehead. They will always remain in my
right.
heart.
Yes.
Always remain in my
Yes,
heart. I
yes,
still
yes.
stay in touch with Dawn Whitehead, their daughter, Kenny Whitehead, their son, and up until his death, Johnny Whitehead. And just a very, very talented, loving family, and I will always remember working with them and miss them till the grave.
Okay. Okay.
And how about this one right here?
Oh, that's me and Richie Havens. I worked with Richie
Richie
Havens for
Havens.
so many years.
Okay.
Richie is a legendary singer with fans all over the world, and yeah, we did a lot of stuff. In fact, I did a drawing of him, a pencil drawing that he used as an album cover and as posters. And in fact, I brought it to show you if you'd like to see it. Would you like?
We're gonna
Okay,
show
well,
that.
we'll
in
show
just,
that in a little
just
bit.
once. Let's get
But
finished.
yeah, Richie and I go way back, and as I mentioned, I've cut his grandson Mario Havens along with Dash Davis, who was Stan Davis's son and brother to Stan Davis Jr. And Dash is very, very talented young man, and I wish him every success.
Okay.
And one more picture.
One more.
Okay.
It's got a lot of gold in it. You know.
That's on the right
Oh,
me,
yeah.
and on the left Bruce Hawes, and in the middle is Harry Chippets. That's when I was producing Gladys Knight and the Pips. As I said, I had gotten the job to produce Gladys, and the okays all went through, and then I brought Bruce in to help on 4 songs. And they didn't all come out, the ones that Bruce wrote, because he was signed to Philadelphia International, actually to Mighty 3 Music, but he had not gotten prior okays before, and they, for whatever reason, I couldn't sign to them. I didn't need to sign to them. I had already contracts, and this was my deal and everything, you know, so they didn't let it come out at that time that the album was released, although one of the songs that was written did get released later as an EP in the UK. And I think Bruce actually has it up on his Facebook page, so you can take a peek at that.
He'll be.
And I
Bruce will
said, talk more about it.
Yeah.
And Bruce, I believe, is coming in
Yeah,
here
he'll be
in
joining us
February.
in February. Bruce Halls will be in, and we're looking forward to hearing his story.
All right. And hold up.
Now, if there's anybody out there who knows who this is,
Okay.
chime in and say who it is. It's a local drummer.
A local drummer.
And this guy, he did a lot of stuff
Come on.
for me. And even when we did a gig, he would never take money from me. He would never take a dime. And so he was really quite good to me. So I painted, this is an oil painting that I painted, and I wound up giving it to him as a Christmas present.
Ooh.
And I wish him well.
Carlos,
Yeah, but
who
if
is
anybody
he?
knows who
Carlos,
it
who
is-
is he? Okay.
Somebody.
People know who it is.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't, I'll tell you. If nobody chimes in, then is anybody going to chime in? Or you,
Yeah, they come up.
Taffy? You know who it is.
Let's see if they come in.
Well,
While we're talking about your drawing and your paintings and your artwork, can we look at a couple of your portraits over here?
sure,
Okay.
sure.
Hold up. Since you
Come on,
put
let's
me on
go.
the spot like
Yeah,
that.
let's.
Well, wait a minute. Why don't you show the other one?
Oh, you
the
have
other
another
oil
one?
painting.
You have another painting?
Yeah.
You, Gilbert?
Yep.
Because
See?
I want to show you.
Y'all messing me up.
Okay, go
Okay.
ahead. We're sorry. We're doing this.
It's
We want to
okay.
get all this in,
We
okay?
Go back to the graphics and that other painting.
He looks very familiar.
Toby Johnson,
Oh,
Carlos
Carlos
Rayleigh,
got
Stanley
it.
Brisbane got it right. Taffy Spencer got it right. And all these people
Stanley
are
got it right.
all these people are chiming in now.
Okay, all right.
Well, those were the only pictures that I have in here.
Okay.
The four that I.
Oh, thank you,
Okay.
Stan. He says I'm an incredible
So,
artist. Toby, all these
Stanley,
people. Yes,
Stanley,
you're right. It
Carlos,
is Toby Johnson
and
that-
Taffy.
so people recognize it. I guess it looks like him then.
Mm-hmm. John Hall joined in.
That's a
Hi,
great
John.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Now,
Okay,
now Toby's still around,
Yeah, yeah.
and he's playing for.
Well, he plays with a number of different people. He's really quite a good drummer. I believe that he's playing with somebody that we have booked into at NAM events at the Wyndham this weekend. I'm not certain of that. I know I have his brother, Unchie Johnson, and John Martin
Toby
are
Johnson. He
doing
looks very,
sound.
Very familiar.
Yeah, he's a great guitar player and great. They have a sound company. He and his brother Rick Johnson, and so I hired them to do the sound. I wasn't happy with the sound as it was, and those guys have great ears, and their sound company is great. And
Stephanie, hi,
oh,
Stephanie.
Sandy Wabagijic.
Yeah, she.
Sandy Wabagijic.
She just
Sandy-
found she couldn't get on.
Sandy.
Just found you.
Sandy is, they call her Sandy Blue Sky. Sandy Wabagijic at one time, Sandy Blue Sky was married to Dickie Betts of the Allman Brothers, and that's where the big hits of Blue Sky, which might be one of their most famous hits, came from. And Jessica is the name of their daughter, another big hit. And Sandy and I go way back, way back to the days when I was painting the portraits in the portrait studio, and still friends. And recently, when she passed through Philadelphia, we got together for a meal, and I love Sandy. And
Now, can we go to the portraits because
okay,
time's going by?
Okay,
We want to
the
get them in.
portraits are there, but lineups. Can you straighten them up?
Okay.
here, why don't I just hold it up?
No,
Maybe
you
it
don't
would
have
be-
to hold
no?
it.
Okay.
Good.
In order.
Come on.
Because this
Mhm.
is where.
Come on.
I have
Okay,
There
well
you
that
go.
one is,
Straighten that one out for me.
well,
Move
yeah,
that one.
lift it up a little bit higher
Okay.
so that you can see it. Not
Oh.
that one, the other one.
That's
one of-
that's
That's
beautiful.
Steve Wise. Oh, no, the other picture. They're looking at this one. You have to lift that one up,
You want
Doris.
this
Lift,
one in?
lift this one up.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
That, well.
No. It's better this way.
Well, that's our couch right there.
Mhm.
Well, anyway,
That's
Steve-
better. It's better
That
like
one is
this.
Steve Wise. It was used as one of his album covers. As I said, he had previously been produced by Stevie Wonder, a longtime friend of mine. I got him started in the music business, actually. That's the truth. And I also represent him right now with his wedding band, which is, if you ever have an affair that you want to rock the joint, that's who you want to call me, because Steve
Okay.
is amazing.
Okay.
And then the other one is, oh, thank
Come on,
you.
let's get this. Let's get this.
Then the other one is, now that's Richie Havens. These are pencil drawings that I did of Steve Wise and Richie Havens. But there's
Something
something in
in the way.
front there.
Okay.
There you go. Now,
Okay.
Richie Havens, that was also used as an album cover as well as posters. And there's something interesting about that picture that I'll share with you that most people don't notice. They just think, oh, it's a great pencil drawing. But I never finished it. If you look at the right shoulder, you'll see that it's just the underdrawing. I didn't go into detail on the right shoulder. I was so tired and my hand was hurting and my eyes were burning. I said, it's good enough.
How long did it take you to do that?
A long time. I worked for it on it for weeks.
That is
Weeks.
beautiful.
Yes,
Yeah.
because first you do an underdrawing, then you go from the left side, you work down, then up, and then so that your hand doesn't
And
smear
you
what
went
you've already
you
done.
went to school for this, right?
I went to the Pennsylvania Academy
here
of
in
Fine Arts,
in
but I
Philadelphia.
left after a while. I went.
Uh-huh.
You know who else went there? Doc Gibbs. Doc, if you're
Okay.
around, hello.
Okay, all right.
But
These are beautiful pictures.
yeah, I wasn't learning anything. I think I learned everything that I learned from my high school art teacher, Dr. William Kukler, who the professors at the academy would just come along and say, oh, that's great, that's great. And meanwhile, they go to everybody else and give them critiques. And when I was offered the job at the portrait studio, I just took it.
Well, you drew portraits of two of our presidents.
I did.
And we're going to tell them who the
Do I have to?
yes, please, please.
Well, I did Bill Clinton, and then although I am not a great fan, although compared to who's in office right now, they're mild compared to them. Although I'm not a great fan, but I felt that I couldn't refuse the honor. I did George and Barbara Bush.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
And where can we find your portraits first of all?
If you go to my Facebook page and then go into my pictures and then go into my albums, you'll see one album that says Rena's artwork. And there's a lot of it there. Of course, not nearly all of it, but there's a lot of artwork there that you can take a look at. Mostly on there I have my pencil drawings. And just recently I started painting again in oils, which I showed you the one that I did for Toby Johnson, I should say. And then the other I did of my chief engineer, faux notes. I'd love for you to show that if you have that. It's not finished, but
Okay,
but if not, maybe I can put it up on Facebook or
Yeah.
something. And
And you
people
can always
see it.
send it to us, and we have it, right? We have it.
We have it over there, but
So we can
because
pull
of
it up.
time constraints,
Right, okay,
you know.
we can pull it up. But you know now,
Renee
showing
Renee
Chambers.
these?
Chambers, that's
Renee Chambers
Roland's
Lisiaga.
daughter.
That's Roland's oldest daughter.
Yeah,
And Roland and
She's
I
supposed-
were together for many, many years, for 13 years. And we had a beautiful daughter together.
okay.
And sadly, my daughter and son-in-law were killed in an accident. Yeah, hi Renee. Hope everything is good in your world. So I guess you could say that she's my stepdaughter.
Okay, all right. Well, you know, let's talk a little bit because time is running out, and I want you to let everyone know where they can find your music.
Well, if you go to my YouTube channel, or as I release music, it's on all outlets everywhere. When I do release something, I get it out everywhere.
Right.
Right now, I just started the YouTube channel, and I'm adding more songs almost daily, adding more things. I haven't even added my own recordings from when I was a recording artist on Atlantic and on Capitol, but I'll be adding them, and so much more that I have. I mean, I have such a vast catalog of stuff to put on, so I couldn't do it all in one day or even in 2 or 3 days, but with everything else that I have to do besides. But that's probably YouTube right now. And for Terry James, he's on all platforms, all digital platforms. Platinum Heart is the name of the album. And Sayin is, I'm getting ready to release that now. And that's Mario Havens and Dash Davis comprise Sayin. And, before we end this, there's just one thing that I
Go
would
ahead,
like to
go
say that I feel is of great importance at this time, especially at this time in our culture and in our history here in the United States. There will be an election coming up, and it's so important. This may be the most important election of my lifetime, and I really want to urge every single person aged 18 and over to, if you're not registered to vote, register. You must vote. And you can't say, well, it makes no difference, because it makes a huge difference. If people, there was a saying that I've heard before, that the only way for evil to succeed is if good people do nothing. And so now it's up to us, we the people, to take back our country from this fascist who is going along with his regime. That's also, they're all lunatics as far as I'm concerned, and following a very, very dangerous pattern, locking up babies, taking them away from their families, denying climate change and destroying the earth, and taking away all the protections of endangered animals, and wants to get into Social Security for people, and just wants to cut health coverage for millions, and wants to cut food stamps for millions. We're a civilized country, and education. There's no education for the arts anymore in the public school systems. And if we don't stand up and make our voices heard, then shame on you.
Yes.
You have no right to complain when they come after you.
And your children.
And your children,
That's right.
and your children's children will no longer have the democracy that we have somewhat enjoyed. And I'm not saying that it's been perfect. It's been far from perfect, but we've made strides. And to have that all washed away because somebody's too lazy to get out there and vote, or somebody thinks that their voice won't matter, would be a great shame. And I just wanted to make sure that I urge everyone to please stand up and be counted.
Thank you, Rena. Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Thank you. Now, Rena, you've...
Can I jump in here for a second? Those pictures that you have, are you selling any of them?
The ones that I've already done, like of those album covers, not at this time, but if somebody wants to commission me to do a picture of them, or some family member, or an album cover, or a poster, or an oil painting, or a drawing, that's, my life has always been about music and art. It's like a pendulum swinging one way and then the other. Art, music, music, and that's who I am. That's what I do.
Now, I wanted to ask you something before we leave about the window, okay?
Please.
Now, anyone a performer who's interested in performing there, what should they do?
Anybody who wants to talk to me about anything can hit me up at hitladystudio at gmail.com.
Okay.
And
that's anyone that's interested in recording, performing at the Wyndham, anything.
hitladystudio at gmail.com.
Okay.
And I get pretty busy, so I may not be able to answer immediately, but if I really try to answer everybody, and I will get back to you.
Well, I'm amazed, and I'm certain that a lot of these people out there looking at you all over the world are amazed at all the things you've done, your career, and you're still moving forward, and you're managing, and you're drawing, and you're doing all this, and you work really hard. And I thank you for all the things you've done to make our music what it is today, because you played a real important part in that.
You know, the other thing that I want to say to young musicians and singers coming up now is it's not the same as it was
Yeah.
when I was coming up.
Right.
I could go into a record company office with a guitar or sit down at the piano and play them a song and they'd love it and they'd sign me, you know. But it's not like that anymore. Now you have to come with finished product,
Yeah.
ready to roll.
Mhm.
And even then, it's not easy, but it's never been easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's never been easy, and you have to persevere and don't fool yourself either. You know, there are people, look at American Idol and the rejects. These people really think they have it, you know, but they're fooling themselves. But if you really have something great, the cream will always rise to the top.
Amen. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, once again, I want to thank you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Doris. I've really
and we'll
enjoyed
be
being
talking,
here with
and I
you.
know there are many, many people out there that's going to contact you. You have so much experience and so much to give them, and I thank you. I thank you too, Fu, right?
Fo.
Fo.
Yes.
I had a student named Fu. Okay, Fo.
Well, thank
I
both of
thank
you
you,
for
and you're the
having me,
engineer, right?
Yes.
Our
You
pleasure.
do all of her, engineer all of her.
Yes. When I'm
Hey,
looking.
wait.
Let's
Paul,
give
do me
him.
a favor.
Come
Come
on.
over here for a
Come
second.
on, let's give him a round
Yeah,
hand
I'm
of
asking
applause.
him to sit
That's a
over there.
very important
And then you
thing.
do this.
Yeah, it's a very important thing. Oh, come on. Very
Well,
important.
yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for all of your hard work that you're doing
And
here.
he's also a brilliant musician, not just an
Okay.
engineer, but he's brilliant in many ways. I met him from Dominic McFadden, who is
Yeah.
G. McFadden's
Yes.
oldest son many years ago. And Dominic is also brilliantly talented. He's a brilliant photographer and great songwriter. And on Ange Boca, he wrote "So What If I Fall?"
Yep.
and
So what if I fall?
great
So What
guy.
If I
But
Fall?
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd do without Fo.
You have any words you want to say?
God bless. God bless. Keep it moving.
Yes. Thank you both. Okay. And next week we have on CC Dash, and CC Dash is a recording artist. She has a new single out. She's currently performing in Philadelphia, New Jersey, tri-state area, and the surrounding areas. Tune in next week for CC Dash. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining in with Rena today and Fu.
Fuck.
Faux notes.
Phone
Fu.
notes.
She want to
And
call me Fu.
Yes, but thank you very, very
You
You
much.
should hear
okay?
this project
Right?
that he's
Wait.
working on. Frankie Votto. I just want to give a shout out to Frankie
Okay.
Votto.
Shout out
He
to
is
Frankie. Shout out to Frankie.
fantastic. What a brilliant. Everybody
Fu,
check
Fu,
out
Fu.
Frankie Votto.
Okay. Okay, thank you guys. We're out.
All right.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.